Hey there, it's Andrew. So the other day I was connecting my hard drive to my computer and I realized that I had a problem and that it had crashed. And so what I ended up having to do is to recover all of my data from my drive. And this gave me an idea. Today I'm going to show you how to recover data from a damaged, crashed, or an old hard drive. And by the way, if you're dealing with this problem right now, let me know down below in the comment section and hit the subscribe button to see more videos just like this one in the future. Now today's video will apply to the use of external hard drives, internal hard drives, or even older hard drives that you just haven't used in a while. But right off the bat, before we start, I want to make something very clear. As a disclaimer, I strongly advise against any attempts at physically repairing the drive by yourself. And so if you suspect that the internals of the drive have been damaged, or you're just unsure of the cause of the drive failure in general, I would highly recommend that you get a professional repair service involved as to not make the situation worse. And also, before handling any components, especially internal components, always remember to power down your computer and remove the power cable before doing so. This will ensure the safety of not only our drive, but our entire computer as well. And so with that being said, the first step in the process is to just examine the drive for damage. So whether it's internal or external, carefully disconnect it from your PC and examine it for any cracks, dents, or any rattling coming from the inside. Also, take a look at the connectors or pins to see if any are bent, damaged, or clogged. And so after doing a brief inspection, if you can see that there is something obviously physically wrong with the drive, rather than trying to recover data from a crashed hard drive by yourself, it would be best to get a repair professional involved at this point. However, if all appears to be in order physically speaking, then we can move on to our next diagnostic, which is connectivity. Now you can actually do this pretty simply just by checking the existing connection and making sure it's not loose or even partially disconnected entirely. But I would also recommend that you try a different connection altogether. If you're working with an external hard drive, try a different USB cable, a different USB port, or a docking station if you happen to be using one. If it's one of your internal hard drives, try a different SATA cable, a SATA port, or try connecting it to a USB port on your computer instead via an adapter. Now also it's worth mentioning that if the drive in question happens to be your system drive that your operating system is installed onto, then you'll have to use a different PC to perform the recovery. Now on the topic of old hard drives, if you want to get data off of an old hard drive that you haven't used in a while, you may need a different kind of adapter. So modern hard drives use a connector called SATA, which has now become the industry standard. But older hard drives relied on a connector called IDE, which has now become obsolete. So to bridge this gap, I would recommend getting an IDE to USB adapter and using that to connect your hard drive to a USB 2.0 port on your PC. USB 2.0 is generally more robust and also provides greater power output, which is required for older hard drives. So now as soon as you connect your hard drive to your computer, pay close attention to it. Does it start to make a noise? Does it vibrate slightly? Do any lights come on? If it generally appears to come alive and connect properly when you connect it to your computer, then at least we know that the hard drive is capable of mounting, and at that point we can move on. Okay, so now that our drive is connected and mounted, we have to go to Disk Manager to actually check to see if our drive is recognized by our operating system. Go to your Start menu, type Disk Manager, and hit Enter. This will bring up a comprehensive list of all the drives connected to your computer. And if your drive is mounted successfully, you will see the drive populate in the list here. Now this confirms that our drive is connected to our PC and is capable of being read by our computer. Now at this point, also pay attention to the file system your drive currently has as well. If your drive is raw or unallocated, this would explain the lack of accessibility. Now at this point, we can also check our drive's smart data. Tools like CrystalDiskInfo or Disk Drill can allow you to check for things such as bad blocks, reallocated sectors, or SRC errors. These problems can indicate whether or not your drive is damaged internally, which could explain why you can't access the data on it, which makes smart data extremely valuable. Now, if your drive is not showing up in Disk Manager or is giving any bad smart data at all, it would be best to then consult a professional repair service. However, if everything seems to be okay and it is showing up inside Disk Manager, then we can move on. Okay, now after we've ruled out any physical issues with the drive and we've ensured that it is securely connected to our PC, we can begin to recover data from our damaged hard drive. Now to do this, we'll be using a piece of data recovery software, but it has to be a special piece of software. So whenever you're dealing with corruption on a drive, it's really important to try to minimize the use of that drive as much as possible to prevent further data loss. And so we really need a piece of software that is capable of actually creating a backup of our drive so that we can scan that instead, so we don't have to actually use the physical drive during the recovery. And the software that allows us to do this is called Disk Drill. Disk Drill is a cross-platform recovery software capable of recovering data from damaged hard drives whose file system has been corrupted or has even become raw, which results in the drive becoming inaccessible through normal means. And what it also allows us to do is to create a backup of our hard drive and scan that instead, which increases safety immensely. And so here's how you can use Disk Drill to recover files from a damaged hard drive. So first of all, I'll be including a link down below in the description to where you can download and install the free version of Disk Drill, which I'll be doing now. And step 2, of course, ensure your hard drive is connected to your computer, then open Disk Drill. Now with Disk Drill open, you will see a list of all the drives connected to your PC. And the first thing we have to do is to create a byte-to-byte backup of our drive so that we can scan that instead. So to do this, navigate to the backup menu, select your drive from the list, and hit Create Backup. Now this will open a dialog box where you can select a name for the backup as well as where to save it. Then hit OK, which will begin the backup process. Now note that this may take hours or even days, depending on the condition of the hard drive and the size of the drive. But even if your drive has a tendency to disconnect at random, Disk Drill will continue the backup process to completion. So just wait for it to finish completely. Okay, now once the backup is done, head back to the recovery panel, and then in the top left corner, select Attach Disk Image, and select the backup you just made, which will load it into the disk list. And at this point, you can actually disconnect your actual hard drive from your PC for safekeeping. Step 3, select your backup from the list and hit Search for Lost Data. Now as the backup scans, all of your files will begin to populate on the screen, which can actually be browsed in real time. But we'll wait for the scan is finished to proceed. Step 4, once the scan is finished, you can review all the items that were found during the scan with this button up here. While you're reviewing the files, you can preview them using the icon view, which is a good feature to have because it allows you to preview which files are completely intact and able to be recovered in full. And you can also view the chances of individual file recovery here, which is a nice feature as well. Now to recover your files, you need to put a check mark next to the ones you want. I'm going to recover everything from my hard drive by selecting this option box at the top of the file structure. However, you can also select individual files if you don't need everything. Step 5, hit Recover, and choose your preferred save location to save the files to. And finally hit Next. And by the way, I should mention here that with the Windows version of Disk Drill, you can recover up to 500 megabytes of files for free, which is pretty sweet. And with the recovery finished, you can navigate to your save location, and all of your recovered files will be there waiting for you. So that's it. That is how you recover data from a crashed, damaged, or even an older hard drive. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. If you did, leave a comment down below letting me know, and hit the like button down below as well. That really helps us out. But let me know what you want to see in the future as well. I always love reading your guys' comments and suggestions, and I'd love to help you out with anything else that you need. But until next time, my name is Andrew. Thank you for watching.